Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of WarPlan. Now, a couple things before we get started. Well, before we get started, hey, if you haven't already, please subscribe, like the video, post comments, share the video out, please. You don't know how much sharing it would really help, but thank you so much if you would. Now, couple of comments from some of the feedback, and yes, I don't know if it was given on this WarPlan or Strategic Command, but yes, I like to play an episode or maybe two and then get feedback from the viewing audience. And last episode was, of course, the how hard would Sea Lion be at any time, and we're not going to really continue that. We've done it, but I see the enthusiasm for me trying to invade Britain, so that is on the menu to happen. Now, also, one question, but I wanted to, this version, this is not the early beta that I started with. This is a post-release version that I did the restart if you go back far enough, but it isn't the newest version, and so they think that maybe the newer versions Britain would be better garrisoned possibly or something. So yeah, keep that in mind with this game. I just don't want to start all the way over and either try to get the same outcome and continue on or just start again. Now that doesn't mean in future sometime we won't start again, you know, with a new version, or possibly make it a two-player game. That type of thing may happen. Now, serious question to you all, and I don't quite honestly know the answer to it, and I know there are some really good World War II, you know, whether you want to go historians or fanboys, or hey, if there's a fangirl out there, great, let me know. But you know, the watching, I know they exist. Trust me, I do, and some are authors and whatnot, yes, but I mean out there actually watching. I'd love to know if you are. But would the Regia Marina, the Italian Royal Navy, have left the Mediterranean? And I don't mean if they had, you know, got Suez, would they have, you know, come down here and help retake, you know, Ethiopia or whatever? Yeah, that kind of stuff I think they would have readily done. Sorry. If they had enough control of some of the land areas, because I think they would have been afraid of air attacks, especially seeing as how they had done a lot of air attacks on the British. You know, what we're going to do is we're going to pick you up, put you on board ships, and we're going to bring you down to let's go to Jerusalem. Keep doing that, switching back and forth between games, and disembark. And well, we having one Italian HQ over there. I'm still not sure, and if we're going to focus on the Britain campaign, I'm not planning on having a quote-unquote like token. Okay. Italian involvement, we can just presume that something is there. But would the Regia Marina try to come into the Atlantic? Oh, well, yeah, because they did air attacks against British fleets. They would be very sensitive to air control. You know, I'm not talking about a few destroyers. And I definitely know they got through the Gibraltar and were operating out of Bayonne down here, I believe. A bunch of, or Bordeaux or whatever. A bunch of Italian submarines that Raider eventually just like wished he didn't have that headache. They just were incapable of coordinating and operating with the German fleets in like Wolfpack type tactics, and random submarines going around seemed like more of a liability than a help, because they might, normally, I don't know if it was an actual box, but normally you sort of give patrol areas out, because I've read a lot about how the British were operating here to submarines, so that submarines wouldn't see other submarines, friendly ones, and get, hit them. Sometimes they would leave their box if they could spot signs of attacks nearby, and under the captain's own initiative, and sometimes against approval standards, shall we say, they would try to go in and attack, whatever, see what was going on, if you will, presuming that there's a friendly submarine there, and only looking out after ships. The Germans, of course, were definitely doing patrol areas looking like that for the convoys, and then would headquartered back here, which allowed the Allies to be in on all the radios, start vectoring in the ships on an area, and of course they would start sending the convoys around them because of all of that. Yes, because actually it would have been really hard had it been done locally with lower power radios, or radios set at a lower power, because you don't want to put the ultra decrypts on the convoys, and if they're not able to, and I don't think they had the technology at the time to readily record the Germans, in essence, Morse code type, dots and dashes. Not that it's actual Morse. Well, maybe it would actually be Morse code, just letters and numbers or whatever. But record those and send them back here, because they didn't want to admit to knowing that they're breaking the codes. So you wouldn't have that set up, really. So they didn't have that kind of thing. So if you did it low powered, maybe the listening, because they did have HUF high frequency direction finding, which is basically my understanding, trying to narrow in on where the radio broadcasts are coming from with directional antennas or something. And yeah, you can tell I don't know the technology, but then know the direction, and then maybe triangulate or not, but at least the direction that it's being broadcast from. So they might still be able to get around, but you don't know that, hey, I saw some, signaling, hey, I saw something moving to my south. And then do they go further south or to the north or whatnot? Because the other, submarines could then be vectoring in, but London would know, oh, well, they're moving to the south, because that's where they think we're going, so we're going to go to the north. They're actually reading what's being said, not just that there's somewhat localized radio broadcasts that may mean that we have been spotted, or it may just mean check in, no ships seen today, kind of thing. Or we need to go home for water, or I don't know, whatever it might be going on. So yeah, I know the Italians would come out in, submarines. If we take Gibraltar, more likely to come out, and definitely something on the lines of some destroyers and light ships. But would they have risked, especially coming out if they don't have Gibraltar, and coming around with the main battleships that are big, expensive toys that you don't want to lose, even if they hold Gibraltar? Would they have come out here? Or would they have just sort of like, oh, yeah, we've read naval history. Yeah, we've read naval history. Oh, yeah, we're controlling the Mediterranean. Great, thanks. Meaning they know what, Trafalgar and other French fleets that got smashed by the British out here, that they don't really think they need to have theirs smashed either. So if you have any thoughts on would Mussolini have done that, I would love to hear that. Okay, you guys, let's put you on ships, or not ships, on trains. Oh, yeah. Now, okay, so what I've right now, I'm hesitating to move the Italian fleet out, both sort of quote unquote for role playing reasons, and is it useful or necessary? Would they have done so? I'm sort of kind of thinking that we don't have any um, more German aircraft. You know, we have some other smaller aircraft that I'm not sure what I'm going to do with here in the east. Okay, so would love your thoughts on that. And I don't even know how useful it would be to have them here. Maybe to soak up damage, you know, have them attacked instead of transports or something. That might be useful. So we need to do this in at least two phases. One Adler Tag each day, in which we start the reduction of the Allied air forces in Britain. And then we will look at and I don't know how long that will take. Will we be able to excuse me, will we be able to achieve it? Maybe if I'm looking for the other, because isn't there a second airborne corps here? Did we get it to the west? I think it was around the Moscow area, so I think we got it west. Maybe I just wasn't paying enough attention while blathering at you about things. Well, it doesn't really matter at this point. Let's. We're going to give the AI its turn. No, we're not, sir, but we're just going to give you your turn. No, it's not reducing that pocket. Okay, they're attacking. Bombarding mountain troops there. Okay, I saw those. Yeah, those are all been shut down. All the ones that made it to 45 tax. Turkey, yeah, Finland lacking. Turkey needs 14 resources. Turkey, no oil stockpile. Okay. Let's, before we totally forget that, let's look at what we're sending to Turkey. 8 oil. Okay, Turkey. Yep, they don't have any oil. Okay. Production upkeep. Oh, am I reading this? No, this is. Well, that's to Turkey. They just don't have the ships to carry it out, or we don't have the ships to carry it out. Um, uh, okay. Italy, I want to just actually click on Italy. They have plenty of oil. They haven't been needing any upkeep. They've got a huge stockpile. So let's come over here. Let's cancel this. Okay. I don't know why it would take assigned escorts, right? Yeah. Merchant Marines says we have 107, and I thought that was handling things. Well, I'm not sure. Excuse me. Still looking for a I've thought about building a bunch more German divisions for anti-partisan work. Maybe I'm overly sensitive to the partisans. Just didn't want them taking Smolensk if I could help it. What? You're sure we had 2 airborne units? You're probably screaming at me. No, we only had 1. Okay, well, you're back to good movement. We'll get out of there. Oh, there it is. Okay, we moved it down here. Okay, well, let's get this over to here, I guess. Okay, so maybe we should have seen about coming here. So can we reduce this down to nothing? New land, -2. Well, if you drop enough tonnage of bombs in an area, and I'm not saying they came close to it a few times, never really did it, but especially something as small and tight as Gibraltar, you can destroy it as a functioning unit, which is different than killing everybody. And yes, I am aware and thinking that we are going to be moving some of this to France in a turn or 2. Okay, well, let's at least get you out of the back country, as it were. Excuse me. I was thinking about moving more stuff out of North Africa, more units, but it just looked to me like we've got enough mechanized and infantry divisions here, or infantry corps. Maybe I should be moving some of the ones further back. So we have you to go up to Norway. I think we'll send another one over that way. Let's put you on ships. Just in case they get it into their heads to. You need to get to the rails. As we've seen, for actual fighting the partisans, the divisions are more than strong enough, and anything more really is something of a waste. Okay. Well, you can fall back to here, I guess. So you gotta, yeah. I was figuring the swamp, or not having to attack through the swamp was a better option. Hopefully these guys will be able to get more supply. Where that did leave Archangel open, and I wasn't even thinking. Yes, gamer doesn't always think or think well enough. Wow, they're still around. I would think at this point particularly a mechanized force would be done with being able to attack. But then again, that's just me. Okay, supply issues. Okay, good. We've got supply all the way up to here, at least a minimum amount. Yes, they got air attacked recently. Now here, yeah, I can see if you're... No, these guys are now cut off. Okay. If you are... Can have 10 points, 8. Yeah, I'm just looking at connecting things up and eliminating units. Put the these on them. Yes, it would have been better to do that as a coordinated attack, but hey, if I was good at this, you know, people might actually want to watch me play. Okay, you come up. We'll come to the rear here. Let's get a joint attack against that. And you can't move any further, it's too rough a terrain. Okay. Okay, well you move way out into there. Hopefully you won't totally starve. Well, I guess we'll move the mountain troops into the mountains. These guys up to here. There we go. We can cut them off from that. It'll keep them from keep retreating, but it seems like they're able to fight on pretty hard. Okay, that sort of kind of worked. They're out of manpower, so that's part of the reason why this is so bad. Finland is. Finland, no manpower. Okay, so when it's not raining, when we get a few more units up here, well, we can get you nearby. Keep forgetting that I can stack an air and a ground unit, which is great. Okay, they're increasing. Well, we're not anywhere near ready to drop airborne units, but I think that will be a... I see they move somebody to the coast here. Oh, interesting. It will be a useful internal thing to have 2 airborne divisions, or airborne corps. Okay, so Germany, we're stockpiling and we're doing massive upkeep because we be like that. I think we're going to let it continue. We're going to get the units back up to shape. Now, units that we're still sort of marching out of the east, we're going to slow up because of the rain. I don't think we have enough. Railway left to move another corps of a proper size. Guess you can come to a port and we can move you that way. Okay, you're no. You're at full strength. You're not. Okay, well, we're gonna leave them in port for another turn. Hopefully they'll get stronger. Get replacements. Yes, okay, close support. Advance for Italy, and convoy escort has advanced for Italy. Very good. No oil. Let's look over here. Upkeep, stockpile 5, oil upkeep 0. Okay, well, can I transfer to Turkey, create? We need to, yeah. What's Finland doing? I wish this UI was much better. Okay. They're trying their best with their manpower here. What I'm looking to do is to see, I don't know what we might, because I think everything is dealing with resources. And if you know of a way to make sure I direct more oil to Turkey, or shipping for Turkey's use, or I don't know what. I don't know. Okay. It's still raining over here. Really? We need to have 2 units to bring you down. And they're able to run that deep. Yeah, no. No, 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 no. Okay, well, they shattered. They didn't have any more strength. Okay, good. They shatter. We're not going to be shattering this. And with just that. Well, they don't have any more action points. It's those two. Yeah, to the point this is just getting into the annoying sphere. Like I say, if I wasn't... It's to the point that I would normally quit most things, though you guys have convinced me to want to try out a sea lion offensive. You keep moving up to there. Or I do this without the river. There we go. A little better, maybe. Maybe. That's just to keep this somewhat connected. Try to cut off whatever rail supply they might have. Well, you come to there. I hope you kill that. No, good, yeah. Good, you didn't do that. That's special. Shatters, good. Okay, that's still 13 strength, so we just have to grind that down. Do you get on board ships? Well, let's get you just a little ways inland. I know you can come into a occupied port and disembark, and I'll just set you on a nearby hex, but I just rather get them out in port. If there isn't a good reason to, like, force keeping something there, just in case, whatever, I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to try at least since it's clear weather down here to land. You know, competition is a great thing. It makes you try harder, whether it's running against, you know, somebody else. You know, if you run, well, maybe there's people that can do it, run, you know, against the stopwatch to see how fast they can do it. But when you can run against somebody else and they're going as fast as they can, and you're going as fast as you can, and whatnot, I think it speeds you up. Well, in my opinion, WarPlan should really help out Strategic Command. Oh, you want to transfer over to those attacks. Yeah, I know these are, oh, you're not close enough. Okay, we'll get closer down here. We're going to keep the Italians in the field of operation. WarPlan will help Strategic Command because in Strategic Command they could just insta-turn, bingo, they're back up to full strength, you know, no matter what I pound on them with air power. But here they come back more gradually, so we might just be able to pound that into near nothing. I don't know. Yeah, well, I don't, and as opposed to having to do it all in one turn, could do it turn by turn. Okay, don't forget about up here. Somehow they're still alive, and these two come. Okay, I don't think they can together because of that. Yay, okay. You come up here along the railways. There we go, destroyed finally. Finally. And yes, I know we have the Murmansk path to deal with, but you're going to come down here because they may start zipping too far along. Cutting off my railway situation because we're having to, well, with the partisans, we are having a bit of problems there. What we want to do is have this railway open. This guy will be good. Maybe we should do a few more of those to help with the issues of crushing partisans. There we go. And maybe moving the Italian mountain division. Yeah, even though we are sort of a little bit of mountains there, can you? Yes. Well, let's put them down here. In Syracuse, or that's where Syracuse was, at least. Still called Syracuse there? I don't know. Okay. We're just moving forces to ports to be able to embark them from there. Is this scary? Does this scare you, AI? Seeing all these forces that are potentially dangerous in ports. Okay, let's drive you this way. Drive you this way. We'll come down here and here to be able to land or move rapidly. Follow up, follow along. Invasion. Well, let's see, what do we have down here? 2 armor and 2 mechanized, is that right? Plus some infantry corps. Would that be helpful in Britain? We've got 1, 2. Let's get a little closer here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Counting all this right. Seven cores here. Yeah, no, it would be helpful. I'm going, it would be helpful. Okay. Maybe we can rely on external. We can put them on ports to get them out. On the Italians, with their mechanized and armored forces. Oh, you're not in a port officially. Okay, I thought you were. Guess you need to come up to there. To hold North Africa against another possible invasion. All right, well, we definitely see like this unit had been back here, moved up. Well, maybe not a lot more. I was wondering if we were noticing a change in deployment because what we were doing here. No, I can't significantly detect it. Right, okay. I think we can deploy, yes, an Italian motorized force. Okay, well, we'll put you here near the port. We'll get you somewhere. And we have another German Panzer Corps, so we'll deploy that over here. Yeah, I hope, because just in sort of a vague online sense, I know the guys who make both these games, and they're both great guys. You could say I wish they get together and build, because they actually worked. I understand Alvaro did work for or with or whatever the guys who made Strategic Command on one of their projects for a while or something. I don't know how much that was, but they know each other. And there's vision differences as much as anything else between the two different design teams, shall we say. at least publicly, and that's all I've really seen them interact. They've interacted in a very friendly, comradely sort of way. So we pound him here with that 2-to-1. Okay, one of those. Ooh, 1-to-1. Yeah, we'll do that just because. So would it be better if they came together? Well, maybe, but that's presuming that their design differences can be melded together, or would it be better, like I was saying earlier, for competition, so that it's like, hey, yeah, I want to do it this way. No, hey, we want to do it that way. Okay, make two different products and them sort of competing with each other. So it's like, oh, okay, we know, oh, well, he does this and people are liking this. So we have to step up things better. Like, I don't know, like one of the things I really love here is that if I wanted to, I could still be flying aircraft in the rain zones, because it's not raining 24/7 during the 2-week time period so much. So there's like, oh, maybe storming for a couple of days, but in a few days after that, it's, either no rain or light enough rain to do some air operations. But sometimes you get, double secret rain, you probably don't get my joke on that, but you get really heavy rain or heavy snows that prevents all air offensive operations, and that's the way I like it. That it's not an all or nothing thing like it is in Strategic Command. That's one of my biggest complaints about Strategic Command, because I still butthurt over Cyprus and trying to take it, and the real problem, of course, is the ability to go, oh yeah, you're a defensive corps, max strength 5. Oh, we get you down to 1 strength. Oh, next turn, bing, all the way back up to 5. They can constantly pour in 100% reinforcements every single turn, anywhere in the freaking world. Well, and this is addressing the other things is repair rates or replacement rates, effectiveness levels, which some of that is in Strategic Command, most assuredly, but not enough. And so that if you do have the air power around plus some ground, some paratroopers, you can grind them down. And because normally my, German paras wouldn't, it wasn't like, oh, they, were so damaged that next turn they had to repair themselves, full replacement. No, they were ready to attack next turn just the way they were. And so it was just, constantly popping back up to strength and not being able to take it down. And 2, you could get a situation for 2 or 3 turns in a row. You had rain, so I couldn't use any of the air power. Or you would have rain one turn and then not the next, and I would hit them and they go weak. And then I would rain and they get back fully and can't. Yeah. So I really hated that about about Strategic Command, because you get monsoon seasons in some parts of the world that for 2 weeks there's no effective air operations. Granted, that happens. Like I say, double secret rain conditions or snow conditions can and should happen, especially if you're looking at certain regions, lots and lots of snow that may just for multiple turns just shut down all air operations. And once in a while, rarely in some areas in Central Europe, it will for the 2-week or whatever time period. So that happens. I'm not against the idea of it happening. No, we'll just move down to here to sort of block your movements. Well, but that's now open. Oh, let's move you back to Stalina. Oh, you don't have any. Oh, we're gonna undo this. You don't have any fuel. Okay. So that this will help push strategic command people into upping their game. And they're talented people. And I hope they will go, okay, well, for the next versions of the games, not just DLCs, but next complete versions of the game, we'll do better. And they'll get better. And then, which will mean, Kraken Studios will do better. Back and forth. Okay, well, what does a cavalry corps in 45? Okay, we're going to purchase one of these just to sort of like be able to deal with partisans, because I think it's going to be an ongoing thing. And yeah, it's rain that's stopping it. And sure, a certain level of mud and rain will slow up your operations. Absolutely. So I'm glad both games exist. Yeah, maximum. See, I don't know how, because Turkey needs 14 merchant marine to fully transport resources. Okay, well, that's resources. Turkey lacking merchant marine. Convoy German ships will be used for the remaining resources, but I should be sending plenty of oil to Turkey, so I just don't know. Now we have snow. You retake this. Oh, well, we moved you away from down there, so we can come up to here and battle you guys. Let's get, okay. You come this way. Well, looks like fours aren't completely solving everything. Okay. 10-1. Yeah, those are common attack values that they would survive and just retreat a little bit. No, not 5-1, but 10-1. Oh, well, now you're done. Okay, well. Yep, walk around the swamp. As these guys aren't already starving enough for supplies. Okay, well. You come up, overrun your army. Okay, 4-1 with the river. Okay, good. They surrender. That's nice of them. Well, I do think we're going to have to wait till at least spring to spring our Otler tag on Europe. Okay, land one down. No, I don't know how much they're getting back in return. Land another one down. I just want to see if we can make it disappear. Ooh, so that's a total of 4 factors down, 5 factors down. One Italian bomber is just, we're technically a bit outdated, I would say, in World War II. Definitely, especially in the interwar years while Germany was trying to catch up, were fairly advanced, and they definitely came up, and I think seen a bit more in their fighters, good fighter engines and whatnot that were. And I'm not an air expert here, but that were, I don't know if competitive, but they were in the realm of operations. They weren't. They might not be on the latest cutting edge. They, just never quite sort of got there. Fighter engines and fighter performance, but we're okay. And especially if you look at, say, mid 30s, late 30s, Italian bombers, they're all right. And especially if you're looking at what Italian bombers were, and they were improving. And I'm not good on specific dates, but if you look at like Germany, 36, 37, they're using Ju-52s, the transports converted to bombers in Spain. Partially, I think, just so that some of the more advanced models aren't seen by other people. And I do think later in the campaign they start using some of their better stuff. But so what I'm trying to say is they're not terrible. They're not as good as what the German bombers or the British or Allied bombers, American, and I guess mainly just British and American, the only real Western production. Others operated them, but bombers works. I'm just thinking here in bombing Gibraltar, and yeah, Italian bombers would be useful. And they would be. And they're not, like you could say, they're not that bad if you want to use that term. They're not great. They're definitely not great. They're may or may not be good, depending on what year, date, and operation that you're looking at. But I think they get to some place be okay. But part of the Italian problem is, at least from descriptions that I've read, that, and some of it, yes, is in historical fiction, but some of the historical fiction, my understanding, and it's different authors, different books, different quality, but some of them, I think they're taking real literal descriptions of like evacuations from Crete under air attacks, and sort of taking the description of being attacked by the air from somebody who wrote this stuff down, and then sort of adding that to a historic, an additional unhistorical ship that was part of the convoy or whatever, and sort of combining a lot of events into one sort of ship to tell the story of a lot of different things happening, because otherwise you'd have to jump for 5 days in this ship and then 10 days in this ship with its crew, and then you jump, because just to make the story flow better and all this stuff. But some of the stuff I really trust is good overall history for what the operations were happening, maybe with an added ship, or remove one ship and put in a different ship just to keep the story ship, or submarine, because some of the stuff is off it from some of the good authors from submarine operations, sort of adding the stories together and writing them up. It was just the idea that the German, like Stukas or Ju-88s or whatever it was that was coming in at them, would come in come in closer and drop their bombs on the ship before pulling away than the Italians ever would. Now, the Italians were probably, and normally, and then from some of the stuff I've read from the other side, normally like the squadron commander would come in, particularly on the German side or whatever first, do the first dive bomb on them. So, if he got within, I don't know, 500 meters or whatever of the ship before releasing his bombs, the rest of the squadron would basically do the same distance. So, if the squadron commander will get that close to the ship, whatever that close means, to the anti-aircraft gun before he releases, then the rest of the squadron will follow suit. And I think that may be the case with the Italians. And so the Italians were, I'm sure that they're, well, at least mostly, because I think they were relatively brave pilots, but I'm sure that, they're bomb sites, if you will, because I'm also thinking, like dive bombers or not straight, not quite dive bombing, but not horizontal bombing, strafing bombing or whatever. Not maybe real low like skip bombing, but, where they used them on ships in the Pacific. But, coming in at sort of a more, angled approach, whatever sort of sighting mechanisms they had, it was probably saying, yeah, we're on target. And no, we're on target. Okay, we're getting closer. We're on target. Okay, well, there's no point in dying today because we come back and bomb this tomorrow. So, but it says we're on target. So release, pull away. And so they, instead of 500 meters away, they do it at 1,000 meters away. Says they're on target, and the Italian commander, quite legitimately, because there was flak coming up at them, wants to have all of his squadron come home. And then maybe later today, because some of this stuff is happening fairly close to air bases, they'll get refueled, rebombed, and come back again in either that ship or another ship. But they are all coming, close enough that their target indicators say that they can hit. They can drop and they can hit. And they think they're going to hit. But they don't. Because they don't press it close enough. And so... And I'm not going, there's a lot of talk about the Italians who, hey, well, in the last war, we're attacking our former allies. We may want glory for Italy. We may want a new Roman Empire of some sort. But we really don't like the Germans so much that we want to fight their war for them. What's all, do we really want to die for this war? Oh, we'll fight for our country, yeah, but this may not be the right war, fighting the British or the Americans. That sort of feeling going on definitely generally in the Italian army, but also there's poor leadership in the army. There's just outdated leadership, outdated equipment, outdated training, poor levels of training. For both the officers and the men, it's just a shit show in many cases. And I know that a little bit more with the Army than I know about the Air Force. So I'm not trying to negate like the individual Italian pilots' bravery or the squadron commander's bravery. And I'm not trying to say that they weren't pressing their attacks hard because they didn't believe in the war. I'm just sort of saying is, well, their training, the training of the squadron commander, the training of the air crews in the squadron, all say if you can get within 1,000 meters of the ship or whatever it is and release your bombs or the target. Ships are, of course, moving targets. They may, I don't know about their training, may have been trained to do land bombing with a lot, because even if you're talking about going after mechanized forces, generally close is normally good enough, if you will, where ships close ain't necessarily good enough. And so I think some of it may be understanding and doctrinal problems, because yes, if you put a big enough bomb and it hits right close to a destroyer, you can blast in the sides of that destroyer. You aren't going, well, you're going to do some damage maybe to a battleship that way, but not battle damage that's going to stop you from operating that way close. You got to hit it, or or literally very, very close kind of thing for something big like that. So, it's, I think partially it's doctrine, partially it's levels of training, and partially the very real is real element of, hey, yeah, what's the point if we sink this destroyer and lose half the squadron when we can sink this destroyer and lose none of the squadron? Because one of the squadron's bombs is going to land right square into this destroyer. And no, it may not sink it, but it's going to damage it. And when we or some other squadron comes back, you're going to have this damaged ship trying to get home, and they'll take it out fully or something like that. And so I think it was very real, because I'll tell you, if I was a squadron commander, I don't want to just over one ship lose half my squadron because of pushing the attack in too hard. But as we can see from the Germans coming in, they weren't coming in and losing half their squadron. They were taking losses, but I don't know that they were taking losses significantly higher than the Italians were. It's just, and so it's that kind of thing. So as opposed to, lack of morale and whatnot. But so, having the Italians come in and bomb here, a situation like this would be useful, because I do know when they were bombing Malta, the Italians, the German closer, if they were at any particular time for something like Malta, wasn't really helping that much, because it's more saturation bombing. There wasn't always a specific target to hit like a ship, because when the ships came in, they got them unloaded as fast as possible because of bombing attacks. In Malta, at least for a while, one of the procedures was whenever there was a submarine in port, and because Valletta Harbor is, if you will, huge, and I may be saying that wrong in the sense that there may be what I'm calling Valletta, may be several different. Valletta may be a specific part of this sort of big area of bays and harbors or whatever, but it was fairly huge, and it wasn't necessarily apparent where the submarine docks were, because they sort of moved around and they sort of kept them minimized. And they would only bring the subs into the submarine dock at night. And they were bombing at night too, but again, it's blackouts and it's hard to see things, from the air. And so to accurately find it, and even if they did sort of have information, it's up this area, inlet area or whatever, at night trying to find it and bomb it was sort of difficult to do. And during the day, what they would do is put a minimum crew on board, because they were normally trying to rest the crews, and take the submarine out somewhere in the larger area of the harbor, and just put it literally on the bottom of the harbor that isn't that deep, but submarine sitting on the bottom doesn't sort of cast a shadow, of my understanding, like it would have, even if like the distance, I don't know, is like 30 feet difference, which is, but clear water, trying to spot a submarine might not be, because they had problems in the Mediterranean, the shallower areas of being spotted. But if you actually stick it on the bottom of the harbor or the bottom of the ocean, in shallow areas, it's much harder to spot than if it's sort of up a bit. So it sort of creates a shadow or whatever. You can sort of see it when you're right above it. So they would just sort of randomly place in an area, so they knew they wouldn't maybe bring a big ship around in the day or whatever to hit it, because the periscopes or conning towers wouldn't be above the surface of the water, but might be to where a ship might hit it, but put it out there and in different spots so they would never, know where to bomb to try to get the thing under the water, and just leave it parked under the water all day and then bring it to the surface at night and restock and do repair work and whatnot on the vessel. And the larger vessels, yeah, they would be attacked when they were in port, but they would have lots of anti-aircraft guns around them, a lot more than you would have, at least on most of the convoy areas. And the rest, once you get the food off, what buildings are they in? It's just general sort of bombing that you're trying to do. They're just flying over the airport and releasing a bunch of bombs more or less on the airport versus flying a bit closer to the airport and trying to take that out. It just, mass numbers does have an effect, good enough to do it, because the British almost lost Malta. That was a close run thing. So yeah, Italian air pounding something like this can definitely be useful, but it shouldn't be as good if we're doing historical matchups as the German there. Well, that's enough blathering for me for this episode. I want to thank you all for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. Love to hear your comments. See you next time for more historical gaming.